When Michael Jordan stepped out of his shower that Thursday afternoon, he never expected to discover that his quiet maid was hiding an incredible secret. As he dried his hair, he heard Esperanza speaking on the phone in perfect Spanish, then French, then what sounded like Arabic and Chinese. 9 different languages flowed from her mouth like she was born, speaking each one. This was the woman who cleaned his floors twice a week and barely said 10 words to him in English. This was the woman who seemed almost invisible as she worked around his penthouse. But now Michael realized he had been completely wrong about who she really was. His heart pounded as he called out, "Esperanza, can you come here, please?" But here's what Michael didn't tell her that day. He had actually been watching her for months, planning something that would change both their lives forever. And here's the question that would haunt them both. If someone sees your hidden talents, when you can't see them yourself, does that make you weak, or does it make you incredibly lucky? What would you do if you discovered the person cleaning your house was more educated than most people you know? And what if helping them meant confronting the biggest secret of your own past? Michael Jordan stepped out of his hot shower and wrapped a thick white towel around his waist. Steam filled the marble bathroom of his Chicago penthouse. He reached for another towel to dry his hair when he heard something that made him freeze. A voice was coming from his living room. Not just any voice. It was Esperanza, his maid. But she wasn't speaking English. "Hola, María. ¿Cómo están los niños?" Spanish. She was talking to someone on the phone in perfect Spanish. Michael knew a little Spanish from his playing days, but her words flowed like music. Then something strange happened. The voice changed completely. "Bonjour, madame." Comment. "Allez-vous aujourd'hui?" French? Michael blinked hard. That was definitely French. He had heard enough French during his trips to Paris to know the sound of it. But how did his quiet maid know French? Michael crept closer to the bathroom door. He felt silly sneaking around his own home, but he had to hear more. Through the crack in the door, he could see Esperanza sitting on his white leather couch. She held her old flip phone to her ear and smiled as she talked. "Ahlan wa sahlan. Kaif halak?" What language was that? It sounded like Arabic, maybe? Michael's heart started beating faster. This was the woman who cleaned his house twice a week for the past 6 months. She always said, "Good morning, Mr. Jordan," and "Have a nice day, Mr. Jordan." She was polite, but quiet. She never made personal phone calls. At least, he thought she never made personal calls. "Ni hao, wo hin xiang ni." Now she was speaking what sounded like Chinese. Michael rubbed his eyes. Was he dreaming? Was this really happening? But Esperanza kept talking. Her voice changed with each language. In Spanish, she sounded warm and motherly. In French, she sounded elegant and smooth. In the other languages, she sounded like completely different people. "So como tu? Vai você? Tudo bem?" Portuguese, maybe? Michael had played basketball in Brazil once. This sounded similar to what he heard there. "Privyet! Как dela?" Russian? Michael was sure that was Russian. He had met Russian players in the Olympics. But how did a maid from Chicago know Russian? "Ciao, Bella. Come stai oggi?" Italian. Even Michael knew that was Italian. Everyone knew ciao and Bella. Guten Tag. Wie geht es Ihnen? German. Michael had done business in Germany many times. That was definitely German. Then she switched back to English, but not the careful, quiet English she used with him. This was different English, flowing and confident. "Yes, sweetie, I'll be home soon. Did you finish your homework?" Good girl. I'm so proud of you." Michael's hands shook as he held his towel. 9 languages. He had just heard his maid speak 9 different languages like she was born speaking each one. Who was this woman? He thought about the past 6 months. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Esperanza arrived at exactly 9 a.m. She cleaned his kitchen, his bathrooms, his bedroom, and his office. She dusted his trophies and his awards. She organized his papers without him asking. She left little notes when she found things out of place. But she never talked much. She never smiled much. She seemed almost afraid of him. Sometimes. Now he was hearing her real voice, her smart voice, her confident voice, the voice of someone who could speak 9 languages. Michael's throat felt tight. How many times had he walked past her while she worked, treating her like she was invisible? How many times had he talked about business deals on the phone while she cleaned nearby, not caring if she heard? She understood every word. She probably understood everything better than most of his business partners. The phone call ended. Michael heard Esperanza moving around, probably getting ready to leave. It was almost 3 p.m. She always left at 3 p.m. on Thursdays. He had to talk to her. He had to know more. But how could he explain that he was listening to her private phone calls? His heart pounded as he made a decision. He would just be honest. He would tell her what he heard. He would ask her about it. But first, he needed to get dressed. Michael threw on a Bulls t-shirt and jeans as fast as he could. He ran his hands through his damp hair and took a deep breath. This conversation was going to change everything. He could feel it. "Esperanza," he called out as he walked toward the living room. "Can you come here, please? I need to talk to you about something." He heard her footsteps stop. Then they started again, slower this time. She appeared in the doorway of his bedroom, holding her cleaning supplies. Her dark eyes looked worried. "Yes, Mr. Jordan? Is something wrong? Did I break something?" Michael looked at this small woman in her simple blue dress and white sneakers. She was probably in her 30s, but she looked tired, like someone who worked too hard and slept too little. But now he knew there was so much more to her story. "Sit down," he said gently, pointing to the chair by his window. "Please, I heard you on the phone just now. I heard you speaking all those different languages." Esperanza's face went white. Her hands started shaking so hard that her cleaning spray bottle fell to the floor. "I'm sorry, Mr. Jordan," she whispered. "I know I shouldn't make personal calls during work time. Please don't fire me. I need this job." Michael's heart broke a little. She thought she was in trouble. "Fire you?" he said softly. "I don't want to fire you. I want to understand. How many languages do you speak?" Esperanza stared at the floor. Tears filled her eyes. 9, she whispered so quietly he almost couldn't hear her. 9 languages, just like he thought. "Where did you learn them?" Michael asked. And that's when Esperanza's real story began. She sat down slowly in Michael's chair, still holding her cleaning supplies like they might protect her. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She kept looking at the door like she wanted to run away. "Please don't be scared," Michael said softly. He sat on his bed so he wouldn't tower over her. "I'm not angry. I'm amazed. Where did you learn 9 languages?" Esperanza wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "You really won't fire me?" "I promise. I just want to understand." She took a deep breath that sounded shaky. "I was a teacher, Mr. Jordan, Back home in El Salvador, I taught languages at the university. Michael blinked. You were a college professor? For 12 years. Her voice got a little stronger. I taught Spanish, French, and English to students, but I knew more languages from my studies. I loved learning how people talk to each other around the world. What university? Universidad del Salvador, in San Salvador. It was a good job. I had my own office. I wrote papers about languages. I spoke at meetings with teachers from other countries. Michael tried to picture it. This quiet woman standing in front of college students. This woman, who was afraid to make a phone call at work. She had been a professor. What happened? He asked gently. Esperanza's face crumpled. The tears came harder now. The war got worse. My husband. Carlos taught poor children how to read and write. Some people didn't like that. They said he was causing trouble. She stopped talking and covered her face with her hands. Take your time, Michael said. He wanted to put a hand on her shoulder, but he didn't know if that would make her more scared. They killed him, she whispered through her fingers. They shot him outside our house. My little girl Rosa saw it happen. She was only 6 years old. Michael's stomach dropped. He had heard about the war in El Salvador on the news, but it always seemed far away. Now it was sitting in his bedroom, crying into cleaning rags. I'm so sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. After that, we weren't safe. People knew Carlos was my husband. They might come for us next. So we ran. We left everything and came to America. When was this? 8 years ago. Rosa was 6. Now, she's 14. Michael did the math. Esperanza had been cleaning houses for 8 years. 8 years since. She had been a respected professor. What about your job here? Couldn't you teach at an American university? Esperanza laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. My papers were all destroyed. My degrees, my certificates, my recommendations. Everything burned when we left. The university was bombed later in the war. There's no proof I was ever a teacher. But you still have the knowledge. You still speak all those languages. Knowledge doesn't pay rent, Mr. Jordan. When we got here, no one would hire a refugee woman with no papers. Rosa needed food and a place to sleep. So I took the first job I could find. Cleaning houses. Michael felt sick. For 8 years? I work 3 jobs now. I clean your house and 2 others during the day. At night, I clean offices. Downtown. On weekends, I work at a hotel washing dishes. Rosa thinks I only work during the day. She doesn't know about the night jobs. My God. When do you sleep? 4 or 5 hours. Maybe less. Esperanza wiped her nose. But Rosa gets good grades. She's in all the smart classes. She wants to be a doctor. Michael's throat felt tight. Does she know about your past? She knows her papa was killed. She knows we came here for safety. But she doesn't know I was a professor. She thinks I chose to clean houses because I like helping people. I never wanted her to feel ashamed. Ashamed of what? Of having a mama who scrubs toilets instead of teaching students. Michael stood up and walked to his window. He looked out at the city below. Somewhere down there were probably dozens of other brilliant people working jobs that didn't use their brains. People with stories like Esperanza's. You said Rosa wants to be a doctor? It's her dream. She studies so hard. But college costs so much money. Esperanza's voice got quiet again. $40,000 a year. Then medical school after that. I've been saving for 8 years, and I have maybe $3,000. Michael turned around. How much would she need? For everything? Maybe $200,000. For college and medical school together? Esperanza shook her head. It might as well be $2 million. I'll never have that much money cleaning houses. What if Rosa knew the truth about who you really are? What truth? That I used to be somebody important? That won't help her now. I am who I am now, a cleaning lady. No, Michael said firmly. You're a professor who happens to clean houses right now. There's a big difference. Esperanza looked up at him with surprise. You speak 9 languages, Michael continued. You taught college students. You wrote research papers. That doesn't go away just because you're holding a mop. But it doesn't matter if I can't prove it. Michael sat back down. An idea was starting to form in his mind. A crazy idea that might just work. What if I told you that I need help with my business? What if I told you that I work with people all over the world, and I need someone who speaks lots of languages? Esperanza stared at him. What do you mean? I mean, maybe it's time for Professor Esperanza to come back. I don't understand. Michael smiled for the first time since this conversation started. I have an idea. But first, I need to make some phone calls. Can you come back tomorrow? Not to clean, to talk about work. Real work. Mr. Jordan, you don't have to? Yes, I do, he said. My mama cleaned houses too when I was young. She was smart like you. She never got her chance to show the world what she could do. Maybe I can't change that for her, but I might be able to change it for you. Esperanza's eyes filled with fresh tears, but these tears looked different. They looked like hope. What about Rosa? She asked. What about her? She'll be home from school soon. I need to help her with homework. I need to make dinner. Go, Michael said. Take care of your daughter. But think about what I said. Think about being Professor Esperanza again. She stood up slowly and gathered her cleaning supplies. At the door, she turned back. Why? She asked. Why would you help me? Michael thought about his answer. Because everyone deserves a chance to be who they really are. After she left, Michael sat in his quiet apartment and thought about the woman who had just walked out. 8 years ago, she was giving lectures to college students. Today, she was scrubbing his bathroom floor. Tomorrow, maybe she could be something else entirely. He picked up his phone and started making calls. But first, Michael wanted to know more about Rosa. He realized he had been so focused on Esperanza's story that he hadn't asked enough about her daughter. The next morning, Esperanza arrived at his penthouse at 9 a.m. sharp. But instead of bringing her cleaning supplies, she carried a small purse and wore a nicer dress. She still looked nervous. Good morning, Mr. Jordan, she said quietly. Good morning, and please, call me Michael. We're going to be talking as equals today. She nodded, but didn't look like she believed it yet. They sat in his kitchen. Michael made coffee for both of them. Esperanza held her cup with both hands like it might warm up her whole body. Tell me about Rosa, Michael said, gently. What's she like? Esperanza's whole face changed. The worry lines around her eyes softened. A real smile appeared for the first time since he'd known her. "She's amazing, Mr. Jordan." "Sorry, Michael. She's so smart. It sometimes scares me." "What do you mean?" "She gets perfect grades in every class. Math, science, English, history. Her teachers say they've never seen a student like her." Esperanza reached into her purse and pulled out her old phone. She showed Michael a picture. A girl with long dark hair and bright brown eyes stood next to a science project. She was holding a blue ribbon and grinning. "She won first place at the science fair last month," Esperanza said proudly. "She built something that cleans dirty water." She said she wanted to help people in poor countries have clean water to drink. Michael looked at the photo closely. Rosa had her mother's eyes, but there was something different in them. Hope. Pure, bright hope. "She looks happy," he said. "She is happy. That's the most important thing to me. She doesn't know how hard things are. I work so hard to make sure she never feels poor or scared." "How do you do that?" Esperanza's smile got a little sad. "I tell her we live in a small apartment because it's cozy. I tell her I work different jobs because I like meeting new people. I tell her we eat simple food because it's healthier. She believes me because she trusts me." Michael's chest felt tight. "What does she know about college?" "Everything," Esperanza said, and her eyes lit up again. She already picked her classes. She wants to study biology first, then go to medical school. She says she wants to be a doctor for children who don't have much money. Just like her. "Mama," Michael said softly, "wanting to help people." She gets that from her papa too. Carlos always said the best thing you can do is help someone who can't help themselves. Michael thought about that. Does Rosa know how much college costs? Esperanza's face fell a little. She knows it's expensive. But I always tell her not to worry about money. I tell her that smart girls like her always find a way to go to college. Do you believe that? I have to believe it. If I don't believe it, how can she? Michael set down his coffee cup. What would happen if Rosa found out the truth? About money? About your jobs? I can't let that happen, Esperanza said quickly. She needs to keep dreaming. If she knew how impossible it really is, she might give up. She might stop trying so hard in school. Or she might try even harder. Esperanza shook her head. She's just a child. Children shouldn't have to worry about grown-up problems. Michael understood that. His own mother had protected him from knowing how little money they had when he was young. She let him dream about playing basketball without worrying about anything else. What languages does Rosa speak? He asked. 4 so far. English, Spanish, French, and some Portuguese. I teach her at night after she finishes her homework. We practice together. Where do you get the books? The library, thrift stores. Sometimes I find old language books in the trash from the offices I clean. Michael felt sick again. This brilliant girl was learning from thrown-away books by candlelight, while her mother worked 3 jobs. Does Rosa know what you used to do? In El Salvador? She knows I had a different job before we came here, but she was so young when we left. She doesn't remember much about our old life. Maybe it's time to tell her. Esperanza's eyes got wide. Why? Because she's old enough now. Because she's smart enough to understand. Because she might be proud to know her mama was a professor. What if it makes her sad? What if she asks, why I don't teach anymore? Then you tell her the truth, that sometimes life changes in ways we don't expect. But that doesn't mean the smart part of you goes away. Esperanza was quiet for a long time. She stared into her coffee cup like she was looking for answers. "There's something else," she said finally. "What?" "Rosa has been asking questions lately. About why I'm always tired. About why we never go on vacations like her friends. About why I work so many hours if cleaning houses is supposed to be easy." "What do you tell her?" "I tell her that Mama just likes to stay busy. But she's getting older. She notices more things." Now, Michael leaned forward. "Esperanza, what if I told you that Rosa might not have to worry about college money anymore?" She looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" "What if I told you that there might be a way for you to make enough money to pay for her education? And medical school after that?" "How?" Michael stood up and walked to his window. Down below, the city was full of people going to work. People using their talents to make money, to build lives, to help their families. What if you could use your languages again? What if you could be Professor Esperanza again, just in a different way? "I don't understand." Michael turned back to her. "I work with people all over the world. I need someone who can talk to them in their own languages. Someone who understands business and culture, and how to solve problems." Esperanza stared at him. "You want to hire me?" "I want to offer you a job that uses your brain instead of just your hands." "But I don't have my papers. I can't prove I was a professor. Maybe we can work on that too." "Michael, you don't understand. Jobs like that, they're not for people like me anymore." "People like what?" "People who clean houses. People who have nothing. People who speak 9 languages?" Michael interrupted. "People who taught college students for 12 years? People who raised brilliant daughters while working 3 jobs? Those kinds of people?" Esperanza's eyes filled with tears again. "Rosa deserves to have her dreams come true," Michael said. "And so do you." "What kind of job?" she whispered. "The kind where you sit in meetings instead of cleaning them up. The kind where people ask for your opinions. The kind that pays enough money to send a smart girl to medical school." For the first time since he'd known her, Esperanza sat up straight. Her shoulders went back. For just a moment, Michael could see the professor she used to be. "Tell me more," she said. And that's when Michael knew his crazy plan might actually work. "Before I tell you about the job," Michael said, "I need to see something first." Esperanza looked worried again. "What do you mean?" "I need to see you work. Not cleaning work, language work, business work." "I don't understand." Michael walked to his desk and opened his laptop. "I have a video meeting in 10 minutes. People from my business team around the world, they don't know you're here." "Michael, I can't." "Just listen first," he said gently. "My team has been trying to solve some problems for weeks. Problems with people in other countries. Problems with languages and understanding different cultures." He turned the laptop screen toward her. "What if you could help them? What if you could show them how smart you are?" Esperanza's hands started shaking again. "What if I make mistakes? What if I say something wrong?" "Then you make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. But I don't think you will." The video call started. Michael's computer screen split into 4 parts. In one corner was a Japanese man in a business suit. In another was a German woman with blonde hair. The third showed a Brazilian man with a big smile. The fourth was a Spanish woman with dark hair. "Good morning, everyone," Michael said. "I hope you don't mind, but I have someone here who might be able to help us with our translation problems." The Japanese man spoke first. "Michael-san, we are still having trouble with the marketing materials for Tokyo. The American English doesn't make sense to Japanese customers." "What exactly is the problem?" Michael asked. "The slogan, 'Just do it,' translates to something that sounds rude in Japanese, and the advertisement about being the best sounds like bragging. Japanese people don't like that." Michael looked at Esperanza. "Do you understand what he's saying?" Esperanza nodded slowly. Then, to everyone's surprise, she spoke to the Japanese man in perfect English, but with a completely different tone. "Excuse me, sir. I understand your problem. In Japanese culture, being direct about success can seem impolite. What if instead of 'just do it,' we used something that means 'let's achieve together'? And instead of 'the best,' we could say 'striving for excellence'?" The Japanese man's eyes got wide. "Yes, that would work much better. How did you know that?" "I studied different cultures when I was a professor," Esperanza said. Then she caught herself and looked at Michael nervously. The German woman spoke next. "We have a similar problem in Germany. The American style of advertising is too... how? Do you say emotional? Too much feeling. German customers prefer facts and quality information." Esperanza turned to her. "What if you focused on the technical details instead? Germans appreciate precision and reliability. Show them test results and quality measurements instead of just feelings." The German woman smiled. "Exactly right. You understand German business culture very well." The Brazilian man laughed. "And in Brazil, we have the opposite problem. The American ads are too serious. Not enough fun, not enough music, not enough color. Brazil loves celebration and community," Esperanza said, smiling for the first time during the call. "What if the Brazilian ads showed people playing sports together? Families having fun? Make it feel like a party instead of just buying shoes." "Perfect," the Brazilian man said. "You really understand us." The Spanish woman had been quiet, but now she spoke. "In Spain, we need something different too. Spanish people are proud of their local culture. They don't want to feel like they're copying America." "What if you used Spanish athletes in the ads?" Esperanza suggested. "Local heroes that Spanish people already love? And what if you connected the products to Spanish traditions, like football or flamenco dancing?" "Brilliant," the Spanish woman said. "These are exactly the ideas we needed." For the next hour, Michael watched in amazement as Esperanza solved problem after problem. She didn't just translate words. She understood how different people think and feel. She knew what would work in each country and what wouldn't. When the meeting ended, all 4 people on the screen were excited. "Michael," the Japanese man said, "you must hire this woman immediately. She's better than the expensive consulting companies we've been using." "I agree," said the German woman. "She saved us months of work." "Where did you find her?" asked the Brazilian man. "She found me," Michael said, looking at Esperanza. After the call ended, Esperanza sat very still. She looked shocked. "How did that feel?" Michael asked. "Like I was dreaming," she whispered. "Like I was myself again." "You were never not yourself. You just weren't in the right place to show it." Esperanza wiped her eyes. "Those people, they listened to me. They thought my ideas were good." "Your ideas were more than good. They were exactly what we needed." "But Michael, I don't have the right clothes for meetings like that. I don't have a nice computer or a fancy office. We can fix all of that. What if I mess up? What if I can't do it every day? Michael sat down next to her. Esperanza, you just solved problems that my team has been working on for months. You did it in 1 hour. You did it in your cleaning dress, sitting in my kitchen, using an old laptop. He paused. Imagine what you could do with the right tools and the right support. Esperanza looked at him with something new in her eyes. Not just hope this time. Confidence. What exactly are you offering me? She asked. A job. A real job. Using your languages and your brain. Working with smart people from around the world. Solving problems. Making decisions. How much would it pay? Michael had been thinking about this all night. More than you make at all 3 of your jobs. Combined. Enough to quit the night work. Enough to quit cleaning houses. Enough to send Rosa to any college she wants. Esperanza's breathing got faster. You're serious? Dead serious. What about my education? What about proving I was a professor? We'll work on that too. But right now, what you just did in that meeting is worth more than any piece of paper. Esperanza stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at the city where she had spent 8 years invisible, working jobs that didn't use her mind. There's one more thing, Michael said. The job would be here, in Chicago, but you'd travel sometimes to other countries to use your languages in person. Travel? Esperanza turned around. I haven't been on a plane since we came here 8 years ago. Would that scare you? She was quiet for a long time. Then she said something that surprised him. No. It would feel like coming back to life. Michael smiled. So is that a yes? It's a yes to trying, but I need to know one thing first. What? What do I tell Rosa? You tell her the truth. You tell her that her mama is brilliant. You tell her that dreams really can come true. And you tell her that her college fund just got a lot bigger. For the first time since he'd known her, Esperanza laughed. A real, happy laugh. When do I start? She asked. Michael smiled. How about Monday? That gives you the weekend to think about everything and to talk to Rosa. Monday, Esperanza repeated, like she was testing how the word sounded. I can't believe this is really happening. Believe it. But there's one more thing we need to work on. What? Your teaching certificates, your university records. I want to help you get proof of who you were. Esperanza's face fell. Michael, I told you, everything was destroyed. The university was bombed. There's no proof left. Maybe. But I want to try anyway. After Esperanza left that day, Michael spent the next week making phone calls. He started with Arful, the University of El Salvador. The number he found online didn't work. He tried calling the education department in El Salvador. No one spoke English, and his Spanish wasn't good enough for important business. He hired a translator to help him make calls. The translator found out that the university had been rebuilt after the war, but all the old records were gone. The new staff didn't know anything about professors from before the bombing. Michael tried a different approach. He searched online for other professors who might have known Esperanza. He found names of people who had taught at the university before the war. Most of the search results led to obituaries. Too many good people had died during those terrible years. Meanwhile, Esperanza kept coming to work on her regular schedule. She still cleaned his house on Tuesdays and Thursdays, But everything felt different now. She stood taller. She hummed. While she worked. Sometimes Michael caught her smiling for no reason. He also noticed that she had started leaving him little notes again. But now, the notes were different. Instead of, "Your mail is on the kitchen counter," she wrote things like, "I saw the news about your company's expansion into Asia. The article mentioned language barriers. I have some ideas if you'd like to discuss them." Michael kept all the EE notes. Each one reminded him that he was right about her. She had a business mind that had been trapped in cleaning jobs for too long. On Thursday of that week, Michael was working in his office when he heard Esperanza's phone ring. He wasn't trying to listen this time, but her voice carried through the apartment. "Mommy, why do you sound so different this week?" a young voice asked in Spanish. Michael realized it was Rosa calling her mother. "Different how, mija?" Esperanza replied. "Happy. Like, really happy. Did something good happen?" Michael could hear the smile in Esperanza's voice. "Maybe. I'll tell you when I get home." "Are you going to tell me the secret you've been keeping?" "What secret?" "The secret about why you've been singing while you cook dinner. The secret about why you bought new shoes yesterday. The secret about why you keep staring at your phone like you're waiting for good news." Esperanza laughed. "You don't miss anything, do you?" "I'm your daughter. I know when something's different. We'll talk tonight, okay? After dinner." "Promise?" "Promise." After the call ended, Michael found Esperanza in his kitchen. She was wiping down counters that were already clean. "Rosa's smart," he said. "Too smart sometimes," Esperanza replied. "She knows something's changed. I can't keep secrets from her much longer." "Are you ready to tell her?" "I think so, but I'm scared." "Of what?" "What if she's disappointed? What if she expected more from me all these years? What if she's proud? What if she's excited?" Esperanza paused her cleaning. "I keep thinking about how I used to be. When I was a professor, I felt important. I felt like I mattered. For 8 years, I felt like I was nobody." "You've never been nobody. You've been a mother keeping her family safe. You've been a woman working 3 jobs to survive. You've been a teacher helping her daughter learn 4 languages. That's not nobody. That's a hero." Esperanza's eyes got wet. "I don't feel like a hero." "Heroes never do. That's what makes them heroes." That evening, Michael got a call from his private investigator. "I found something," the man said. "A professor at Harvard University named Dr. Margaret Santos. She used to work in El Salvador before the war. She might have known your friend." Michael wrote down the phone number. "Did you talk to her?" "Briefly. She remembered the name Esperanza Morales. She asked me to have you call her directly." Michael's heart started beating faster. This could be the break they needed. He called Dr. Santos immediately. "Hello?" An elderly woman's voice answered. "Dr. Santos, my name is Michael Jordan. I'm calling about Esperanza Morales." There was a long pause. "Esperanza? Oh my goodness. Is she alive? Is she safe?" "She's alive. She's been living in Chicago for 8 years." "Thank God. I wondered what happened to her after the university was destroyed. She was one of my brightest students, and later one of my most gifted colleagues. Can you tell me about her?" "She was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. She could learn any language in months instead of years. She understood cultures in ways that most people never do. She was writing a book about indigenous languages when the war got worse. Michael felt excitement building. Do you have any records? Any proof of her work? I might. When I left El Salvador, I took copies of important papers with me. Research that shouldn't be lost to war. I may have some of Esperanza's work. Would you be willing to talk to her? Maybe on a video call? I would love to talk to her. I've thought about her often over the years. Michael looked at his watch. It was 8 p.m. Esperanza would be home with Rosa by now, having their important conversation. Can we call you tomorrow? Michael asked. I think Esperanza would be amazed. To hear from you? Of course. And Mr. Jordan? Please tell her that Dr. Santos never forgot about her. Please tell her that I always knew she would find her way back to being the brilliant woman she was meant to be. After hanging up, Michael sat in his quiet apartment and smiled. Tomorrow was going to be a very interesting day. He had found the proof they needed, but more than that, he had found someone who remembered Esperanza when she was at her best. Someone who could remind her of who she really was. Michael picked up his phone to text Esperanza, then changed his mind. This news was too important for a text message. This was the kind of news that should be shared in person. Michael couldn't sleep that night. He kept thinking about Dr. Santos and what she had said. One of my brightest students. Absolutely brilliant. I always knew she would find her way back. At 7 a.m., his phone rang. It was Esperanza. Michael? Her voice sounded shaky. I'm sorry to call so early, but I told Rosa everything last night. How did it go? She cried, but not sad tears. Happy tears. She said she was proud of me. She said she always knew I was special. Michael smiled. I told you she would understand. She wants to meet you. She wants to thank you for giving her mama a chance to be smart. Again, those were her exact words. I'd love to meet her, but first, I have something to tell you. Can you come over this morning? Before your other jobs? Is everything okay? Everything is more than okay. Just come. And Esperanza? Bring Rosa if you want. This news is for both of you. An hour later, Michael heard the elevator ding in his hallway. When he opened his door, Esperanza stood there with a young girl who looked exactly like her. Same dark hair, same brown eyes, same nervous smile. Rosa, Esperanza said, this is Mr. Jordan. Rosa stepped forward and held out her hand politely. Thank you for helping my mama, Mr. Jordan. She told me everything. Michael shook her small hand. Your mama is helping me too. She's the smartest person I know. They sat in Michael's living room. Rosa looked around with wide eyes at the basketball trophies and awards, but she seemed more interested in the books on his shelves. I found someone, Michael said. Someone who knew your mama in El Salvador. Esperanza's face went white. Who? Dr. Margaret Santos. She's a professor at Harvard now. She used to work at your university. Esperanza gasped and put her hand over her mouth. Dr. Santos? She's alive? Very much alive. And she wants to talk to you. I can't believe it. She was my mentor. She taught me so much. I thought everyone from my old life was gone. Rosa looked confused. Who is Dr. Santos, Mommy? She was my professor when I was in graduate school. Then she became my friend and colleague. She was like a second mother to me. Michael opened his laptop. She's waiting for our call. Are you ready? Esperanza's hands shook as she nodded. Rosa moved closer to her mother and held her hand. The video call connected. On the screen appeared an elderly woman with silver hair and kind eyes behind wire glasses. When she saw Esperanza, her face lit up with joy. "Esperanza! My dear girl, look at you!" Esperanza started crying immediately. "Dr. Santos, I can't believe you're really there." "I've wondered about you for so many years. When the university was destroyed, I feared the worst. But here you are, alive and well." "This is my daughter, Rosa," Esperanza said, putting her arm around the girl. Dr. Santos smiled warmly. "Rosa, your mother talked about you all the time before the war. You were just a baby then. Look how beautiful and grown-up you are." Rosa smiled shyly. "My mama told me you were very important to her." And she was very important to me. Your mother was one of the most gifted students I ever taught. Then she became one of the most brilliant colleagues I ever worked with. "Can you tell Rosa about the work we did together?" Esperanza asked. "Oh, where do I begin?" Your mother could learn any language faster than anyone I'd ever seen. She understood not just the words, but the culture behind the words. She wrote papers that other professors still talk about today. Rosa looked at her mother with amazement. "You wrote papers that people still read?" Dr. Santos nodded. "Your mother was writing a book about indigenous languages in Central America. It would have been groundbreaking work. She was documenting languages that were disappearing, trying to save them for future generations." "What happened to the book?" Michael asked. "Lost in the war, like so much else," Dr. Santos said sadly. "But Esperanza, I have something that might interest you." She held up a thick folder. "When I left El Salvador, I took copies of important research with me. I have your thesis, your teaching evaluations, your conference presentations, and 3 chapters of your book." Esperanza stared at the screen in shock. "You saved my work?" "I saved what I could. I knew someday it would matter. I knew someday you would need proof of the brilliant scholar you were." "Can you send those papers to us?" Michael asked. Of course. But more than that, I can write official letters confirming Esperanza's credentials. I can contact other professors who knew her work. I can help rebuild the professional reputation that was stolen from her. Rosa squeezed her mother's hand. "Mommy, this means you can be a professor again." "Not just any professor," Dr. Santos said. "Esperanza, with your experience and your language skills, universities would fight to hire you. You could teach, do research, write books. You could finish the work we started." Esperanza wiped her tears. "I don't know if I remember how to be an academic anymore." "Nonsense," Dr. Santos said firmly. "Intelligence doesn't disappear. Knowledge doesn't vanish. You've been using your skills all these years, just in different ways. You've been surviving, raising a brilliant daughter, and learning about American culture. That's all valuable experience." Michael leaned forward. "Dr. Santos, would you be willing to help with something else?" "Anything." "I've offered Esperanza a job with my company, using her language skills for international business. Would you be willing to serve as a reference? To help other people understand how qualified she is?" "I would be honored. Esperanza, this man is offering you exactly the kind of opportunity you deserve." After they ended the call, the 3 of them sat, quietly for a moment. Rosa broke the silence. "Mommy, you're famous. Dr. Santos said other professors still talk about your work." Esperanza laughed through her tears. "I was never famous, mija. I was just a teacher who loved languages." "You were more than that," Michael said. "You were a scholar, a researcher, a woman who was documenting history and culture. That's incredibly important work." "And now you can do important work again," Rosa said excitedly. "You can help Mr. Jordan's company, and maybe write books, and maybe teach again someday." Esperanza looked at her daughter's bright, hopeful face. Then she looked at Michael, who had believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. "You know what the best part is?" Esperanza said. "What?" Rosa asked. "For 8 years, I thought I had lost everything. But I didn't lose anything. I just couldn't see it anymore. Dr. Santos kept my papers safe. You kept my love for learning alive. And Michael showed me that my skills still matter." She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city where she had spent so many years feeling invisible. "I'm ready," she said. "I'm ready to be Professor Esperanza again. And I'm ready to be Business Executive Esperanza. And most of all, I'm ready to show Rosa that dreams really can come true, even when they seem impossible." Rosa jumped up and hugged her mother tightly. "I'm so proud of you, Mommy." Michael watched them embrace and felt something warm in his chest. This was why he had worked so hard to help her. Not just because she deserved better, but because the world needed her talents. And because Rosa needed to see that brilliant women could overcome anything. "So," Michael said, "are you ready to start your new job on Monday?" Esperanza turned around with the biggest smile he had ever seen from her. "I've been ready for 8 years," she said. "I just needed someone to remind me who I really am." Michael smiled at Esperanza's words, but he knew the hardest part was still coming. Offering someone hope was easy. Making that hope real with a concrete plan was much harder. "Before Monday comes," Michael said, "we need to talk business, real business. I want to make you a formal job offer." Rosa's eyes got wide. "A real job offer? Like on TV?" "Better than TV," Michael said. "This is real life." He walked to his desk and pulled out a folder he had prepared over the weekend. Inside were official papers with the Jordan brand logo at the top. "Esperanza, I want you to be our new director of International Relations." Esperanza stared at the title on the papers. "Director? That sounds so important." "It is important. You would be in charge of all our business relationships with other countries. You would help us understand different cultures. You would translate not just languages, but ideas and customs." Rosa bounced in her chair. "Mommy, you would be a director." Michael opened the folder and showed them the contract. The job pays $150,000 per year. Esperanza's face went completely white. Rosa gasped out loud. That's more money than I've ever seen," Esperanza whispered. "It's what the job is worth. It's what you're worth." Esperanza shook her head. "Michael, I can't take that much money. It's too much." "Why is it too much?" "Because I'm nobody special. I'm just a woman who cleans houses." Michael leaned forward. "Esperanza, yesterday you solved business problems that my team couldn't figure out for months. Last week, you helped me understand cultures I knew nothing about. You speak 9 languages perfectly. You have a PhD in linguistics. How is that nobody special? But what if I can't do it? What if I'm not good enough?" Rosa grabbed her mother's hand. "Mommy, you taught me 4 languages while working 3 jobs. You helped me win the science fair by explaining things in ways I could understand. You're the smartest person I know." Michael smiled at Rosa, then turned back to Esperanza. "There's more." He flipped to the next page. "The job comes with full health insurance for you and Rosa. Dental and vision, too." Esperanza's eyes filled with tears. "We haven't had health insurance in 8 years. There's also a retirement plan, money that the company saves for you so you can stop working when you get older." "Like a pension?" "Exactly like a pension." Michael turned to another page. "And there's an education fund." Rosa leaned forward. "What's that?" "It's money set aside specifically for Rosa's college and medical school. $50,000 per year, for as long as she's in school." Rosa's mouth fell open. Esperanza started crying again. That's everything," Esperanza sobbed. "That's Rosa's whole future." "There's one more thing," Michael said quietly. He pulled out another paper. "If you want, we can help bring your sister Maria to America. Legally. We have lawyers who specialize in immigration. We can sponsor her for a work visa." Esperanza couldn't speak anymore. She just cried and held Rosa's hand. Rosa looked at Michael with serious eyes. "Mr. Jordan, why are you being so nice to us?" Michael thought about how to answer. "Because your mama deserves it. Because you deserve it. Because sometimes, when you have the power to change someone's life, you should use that power." "But we're nobody important," Rosa said, echoing her mother's words. "Rosa, your mama is one of the smartest people I've ever met, and you're going to be a doctor who helps children. How is that nobody important?" Esperanza finally looked up from the papers. "What would I have to do? What would my job be?" "Exactly. You would travel to other countries and meet with business partners. You would help us create advertisements that make sense in different cultures. You would translate contracts and agreements. You would train other employees about working with international clients." "Travel?" Esperanza's voice got small. "I haven't traveled anywhere in 8 years." "You would go to Japan, Germany, Brazil, Spain, all the places where we have business. You would use your languages in the countries where they're spoken." Rosa grabbed her mother's arm. "Mommy, you could see the world again." "I don't know if I remember how to be professional. I don't know if I remember how to act in business meetings." Michael stood up and walked to his closet. He pulled out a suit jacket and held it up. "What do you see when you look at this?" "A nice jacket?" "I see cloth and buttons, just materials. But when I put it on, it doesn't change who I am inside. It just reminds other people to take me seriously." He hung the jacket back up. "Professional. Clothes, professional offices, professional titles. They're all just jackets. They don't make you smart or capable. They just help other people see what was already there." Esperanza wiped her eyes and looked at the contract again. "When would I start?" "Monday, if you want. We'll start slowly. You'll work with my assistant for the first week to learn our systems. Then you'll start having your own meetings and projects. What if I make mistakes? Then you'll learn from them. Everyone makes mistakes when they start a new job. Even me." Rosa looked at her mother seriously. "Mommy, what are you scared of?" Esperanza was quiet for a long time. "I'm scared of hoping. Too much. I'm scared of believing this is real, and then losing it all again." "But what if you don't lose it?" Rosa asked. What if this is really happening? What if our lives are about to get so much better? Michael sat back down. Esperanza, I can't promise that everything will be perfect, but I can promise that you'll have a chance to show the world how brilliant you are. I can promise that Rosa will be able to go to any college she wants. I can promise that you'll never have to scrub floors again, unless you choose to. Esperanza looked at her daughter's hopeful face. She looked at the contract with numbers that could change their entire lives. She looked at Michael, who had seen something in her that she had forgotten was there. "There's one condition," she said finally. Michael raised his eyebrows. "What's that?" "You have to stop calling me your maid. From now on, we're business partners." Michael grinned. "Deal. But that means you have to stop calling me Mr. Jordan. Business partners use first names." Esperanza took a deep breath and picked up the pen that Michael offered her. "Okay, Michael," she said. "Let's change my life." She signed her name at the bottom of the contract with shaking hands. Rosa cheered and clapped. When she was done signing, Esperanza looked up at Michael. "I have a question." "What?" "Why didn't you just give me money? Why give me a job? It would have been easier for you to just write a check." Michael nodded. "Because money runs out, but skills last forever. Because you don't need the charity, you need opportunity. Because Rosa needs to see her mama succeed, not just receive help." He paused. "And because the world needs your talents. My company needs your talents. It's not charity when both people benefit." Esperanza stood up and shook Michael's hand. But instead of the nervous handshake she had given him as his maid, this was the firm, confident handshake of a business executive. "Thank you, Michael," she said. "Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible." "You were never invisible," he replied. "You were just in the wrong place for people to notice. Now you're in the right place." Rosa hugged both of them. "This is the best day of my whole life." As they prepared to leave, Michael handed Esperanza a business card. "What's this?" she asked. She read the card out loud. "Esperanza Morales, Director of International Relations, Jordan." Brand. For the first time in 8 years, Esperanza saw her name on something that wasn't a cleaning schedule. "That's who you are now," Michael said. "That's who you've always been. Now, everyone else will know it too." But that night, alone in her small apartment, Esperanza stared at the business card and felt her confidence slipping away. The apartment looked even smaller after spending the day in Michael's penthouse. The walls were thin. The carpet was old and stained. The kitchen table wobbled because one leg was shorter than the others. This was where a maid lived, not a director of anything. Esperanza walked to the bathroom and looked at herself in the cracked mirror. She saw tired eyes and work-worn hands. She saw a woman in a faded dress who smelled like cleaning supplies. Could this woman really sit in business meetings? Could she really travel to other countries and represent a famous company? "Mommy!" Rosa appeared in the doorway. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Misha. Just tired." But Rosa was too smart to believe that. She sat on the edge of the bathtub and looked at her mother seriously. "You're scared, aren't you?" Esperanza sat down on the closed toilet seat. In the tiny bathroom, they were close enough to hold hands. "Yes," she whispered. "I'm terrified." "Of what?" "Of failing. Of embarrassing myself. Of proving that I really am just a cleaning lady who got lucky." Rosa was quiet for a moment. "Mommy, Can I tell you something? Of course. Last year, when I entered the science fair, I was scared too. You were? You seemed so confident. I was scared that everyone would see my project and laugh. I was scared that the other kids had better materials and smarter ideas. I almost didn't enter at all. Esperanza squeezed her daughter's hand. But you did enter, and you won. You know why I entered? Why? Because you told me that being scared means something matters to you. You said scared. Feelings mean you care about doing well. Esperanza felt tears starting again. I said that? You said that if I never felt scared about anything, it would mean I wasn't trying hard enough. You said brave people aren't people who don't feel scared. Brave people are people who do important things even when they feel scared. I don't remember saying that. Well, you did. And now I'm saying it back to you. Rosa stood up and looked at her mother in the mirror. Mommy, you've been scared before. When we left El Salvador, you were scared, but you kept us safe. When we came to America and you didn't speak English well, you were scared, but you learned. When I got sick 2 years ago and we didn't have insurance, you were scared, but you found a way to get me help. Esperanza remembered. Rosa had gotten pneumonia and they couldn't afford a doctor. Esperanza had taken her to 3 different free clinics before finding one that would help. She had sat up all night for a week, making sure Rosa could breathe. This is just another scary thing, Rosa continued, but you're not alone this time. Mr. Jordan believes in you. Dr. Santos believes in you, and I believe in you. What if I forget how to act professional? What if I say something wrong in a meeting? Rosa smiled. Mommy, you taught me how to speak 4 languages. You helped me with algebra, even though you're exhausted. You figured out how to fix our heater when it broke last winter. You can figure out how to be a director, too. They moved to the kitchen, where Rosa started making dinner while Esperanza sat at the wobbly table. This was their routine. Rosa was a good cook for a 14-year-old. She had learned because sometimes Esperanza worked so late that Rosa had to make her own meals. There's something else I'm scared of, Esperanza said, as Rosa stirred rice on the stove. What? What if this changes us? What if we get a nice apartment and you go to a fancy school and we forget who we used to be? Rosa turned around with the wooden spoon in her hand. Mommy, do you think I'm a different person because I speak 4 languages instead of just English? No, of course not. Do you think you're a different person because you clean Mr. Jordan's house instead of just our neighbor's house? No. Then, why would we be different people because we have more money or a nicer place to live? Esperanza thought about that. I guess I'm afraid that people will think we're showing off, that we're acting like we're better than our neighbors. Are we better than our neighbors? No, we just got lucky. Rosa turned off the stove and sat down across from her mother. Mommy, it wasn't luck. Mr. Jordan didn't pick your name out of a hat. He chose you because you're smart and hardworking and good at languages. You earned this. But what about Mrs. Garcia downstairs? She works just as hard as me. What about Mr. Ruiz, who drives the bus? He's a good person too. Why do I get this chance and they don't? Rosa reached across the table and took her mother's hands. I don't know why some people get chances and others don't. That's not fair, and it's not your fault. But you getting a good job doesn't hurt. Mrs. Garcia or Mr. Ruiz Maybe someday you can help them too. How? I don't know yet. But rich people can help more people than poor people can. If you make good money, maybe you can hire Mrs. Garcia to clean your new house. Maybe you can give Mr. Ruiz's son a job someday. Esperanza stared at her daughter. When did you get so wise? I learned from my mama, the mama who taught college students, and the mama who cleans houses, and the mama who's about to be a director. They're all the same person. After dinner, they sat on their old couch and looked through Rosa's college brochures. Rosa had been collecting them for 2 years, even when college seemed impossible. Which one do you want to go to? Esperanza asked. Harvard, like Dr. Santos, but I'll be happy at any good school. Now you can choose any school you want. Rosa looked at her mother. Are you going to be okay? Starting this new job? Esperanza thought about it honestly. I'm still scared, but I'm also excited. For the first time in 8 years, I'm excited about Monday morning. Good. You should be excited. Rosa, what if I mess up? What if I embarrass Mr. Jordan? Then you'll figure out how to fix it. That's what smart people do. That night, Esperanza lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Their apartment was so small that she could hear Rosa breathing in the next room. Soon, they would have a bigger place. Rosa would have her own bathroom and a desk for studying. But right now, in this tiny apartment where they had survived for 8 years, Esperanza made a decision. She was going to try. She was going to walk into that office on Monday morning and do her best. She was going to make mistakes, and she was going to learn from them. She was going to show Rosa that dreams really could come true, even for people like them. She was going to be Director Esperanza Morales. The scared part of her would always be there, but the brave part was bigger now. The hopeful part was stronger. For the first time in 8 years, Esperanza fell asleep thinking about possibilities instead of problems. Monday was coming, and she was ready. Esperanza woke up at 5 a.m. on Monday morning, 2 hours earlier than she needed to. She had barely slept, but she felt wide awake. Today was the first day of her new life. She showered and put on the nicest dress she owned. It was navy blue and simple, but clean and pressed. She had bought it 3 years ago for Rosa's school awards ceremony. It was the closest thing to business clothes that she had. Looking in the mirror, she tried to see herself as other people would see her today. Not as a maid, as a director. Rosa was already awake, sitting at their kitchen table with a cup of coffee. You're up early, Esperanza said. I wanted to make you breakfast on your first day. On the table was toast, scrambled eggs, and orange juice. Rosa had even folded a napkin and put it next to the plate. This looks fancy, Esperanza said, sitting down. You're fancy now, Mommy. You're a director. They ate breakfast together, quietly. Esperanza was too nervous to taste the food, but she ate it. Anyway, because Rosa had made it with love. What time do you start? Rosa asked. 9 o'clock. Mr. Jordan, Michael, said his assistant would meet me and show me around. Are you still scared? Yes, but excited scared, not bad scared. Rosa smiled. That's the good kind of scared. At 8:30, Esperanza kissed Rosa goodbye and took the bus to downtown Chicago. She had ridden this bus many times before, but always to cleaning jobs. Today felt completely different. The Jordan brand headquarters was a tall glass building in the business district. Esperanza had walked past it hundreds of times, but never imagined she would work inside. The lobby was huge, with marble floors and modern art on the walls. People in expensive suits walked quickly, talking on phones and carrying briefcases. Everyone looked important and busy. Esperanza walked to the front desk, her heart beating fast. "I'm here to see Michael Jordan," she said to the receptionist. The young woman looked at her with confusion. "Do you have an appointment?" "I'm Esperanza Morales. I'm starting work today, as the new Director of International Relations." The receptionist's expression changed completely. She smiled warmly and stood up. "Of course. Welcome to Jordan Brand, Ms. Morales. Mr. Jordan is waiting for you. I'll take you up to his office." In the elevator, Esperanza watched the floor numbers climb. 5th floor, 10th floor, 15th floor. When they reached the 20th floor, the doors opened to reveal a world she had never seen. The offices were bright and modern, with huge windows overlooking the city. People worked at clean desks with multiple computer screens. The carpet was thick and new. Everything smelled like success. Michael appeared in the hallway, wearing a suit, but smiling like a friend. "Esperanza, welcome to your first day." "Thank you, Michael. I'm a little nervous." "That's normal. Everyone's nervous on their first day. Come on, let me show you your office." Your office. Esperanza had never had those words said to her before. They walked down a hallway lined with glass-walled offices. Michael stopped at one with a nameplate on the door. Esperanza Morales, Director of International Relations. Esperanza stared at her name in gold letters. "This is mine?" "All yours." The office had a desk, 2 chairs for visitors, a bookshelf, and a window with a view of Lake Michigan. On the desk was a new computer, a phone, and a stack of business. Cards with her name on them. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Sit down," Michael said. "Try out your chair." Esperanza sat behind the desk. The chair was comfortable and adjustable. She could see the lake from where she sat. For a moment, she forgot to breathe. "How does it feel?" Michael asked. "Like a dream. Like I'm pretending to be someone else." "You're not pretending. This is who you are now." A woman appeared in the doorway. She was about 30 years old, with short blonde hair and a friendly smile. "Esperanza, this is Jennifer, my assistant. She's going to help. You get settled today." Jennifer stepped forward and shook Esperanza's hand. "Welcome to the team. I'm so excited to work with you." "Thank you," Esperanza said. "I'm excited too, and nervous." "Don't be nervous. Everyone here is really nice, and we've all heard great things about you." Michael left them alone, and Jennifer spent the morning showing Esperanza how everything worked. The computer system, the phone, the email, the calendar. It was a lot to learn, but Jennifer was patient. "Your first meeting is at 2 p.m., Jennifer said. "It's with the marketing team to discuss the Asia expansion project." Esperanza's stomach flipped. "A meeting? Already?" "Don't worry. It's just to introduce you and get your thoughts on some language issues they've been having." At lunchtime, Jennifer took Esperanza to the company cafeteria. It looked like a fancy restaurant, with fresh salads, hot soups, and sandwiches made to order. Everything was free for employees. "This is amazing," Esperanza said, looking at all the food choices. "The company believes that well-fed employees work better," Jennifer explained. They sat at a table by the window. Other employees nodded hello as they walked by. Everyone seemed friendly, but Esperanza still felt like an outsider. Can I ask you something? Jennifer said. Of course. How do you speak so many languages? I can barely speak English properly sometimes. Esperanza smiled. I've always loved languages. Each one is like a puzzle to solve. And each one teaches you something new about how people think. That's so cool. I studied Spanish in high school, but I remember almost nothing. It's never too late to learn again. Maybe you could teach me sometime? I'd be happy to. For the first time all day, Esperanza felt useful. Teaching came naturally to her. It always had. At 2 p.m., Jennifer walked her to the conference room for her first meeting. 6 people sat around a large table, all looking at laptops and papers. Everyone, this is Esperanza Morales, our new Director of International Relations, Jennifer announced. The team looked up and smiled. A man at the head of the table stood up. I'm David, the Marketing Director. We've been looking forward to meeting you. Esperanza sat down, her hands shaking slightly. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. David explained the problem. We're launching a new shoe line in Japan, China, and South Korea next month. But our advertising translations aren't working. The messages that sound good in English sound wrong in Asian languages. Can you show me the advertisements? Esperanza asked. For the next hour, Esperanza looked at marketing materials and explained why they weren't working in different cultures. She suggested changes that would make the messages more appealing to Asian customers. This is incredibly helpful, David said. You've solved problems we've been struggling with for weeks. Really? Really? You understand not just the languages, but the cultures behind them. That's exactly what we needed. When the meeting ended, everyone thanked Esperanza and said they looked forward to working with her more. Walking back to her office, Esperanza felt something she hadn't felt in 8 years. She felt valued for her mind, not just her hands. At 5 p.m., her first day was over. Michael stopped by her office as she was getting ready to leave. How did it go? He asked. Better than I expected. Everyone was so nice, and the meeting went well. I heard. David called me right after. He said you were brilliant. Esperanza felt her cheeks get warm. I just tried to help. That's what the best employees do. They try to help. Esperanza gathered her purse and the business cards with her name on them. At the elevator, she turned back to look at her office one more time. Esperanza, Michael said, are you okay? I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and find out this was all a dream. It's not a dream. This is your real life now. On the bus ride home, Esperanza called Rosa. Mommy, how was your first day? Amazing, mija. I have my own office with a window. I had lunch in a fancy cafeteria. I helped solve problems in a meeting. I'm so proud of you. And Rosa? I made a friend. Her name is Jennifer, and she wants me to teach her Spanish. See? You're going to love your new job. That night, Esperanza and Rosa celebrated with pizza delivery. It was more expensive than their usual dinner, but they had something to celebrate. Tomorrow, I start looking at new apartments, Esperanza said. Really? Really? It's time for us to have a bigger place. You need your own room and a desk for studying. Rosa hugged her mother tightly. I can't believe our life is changing so much. Believe it, mija. We're just getting started. As she got ready for bed, Esperanza looked at herself in the bathroom mirror again. She looked the same as yesterday. But something in her eyes was different. There was confidence there. There was hope. Tomorrow, she would go back to her office, sit at her desk, and solve more problems. Tomorrow, she would be Director Esperanza Morales again. And she couldn't wait. 6 months later, Esperanza had settled into her new life in ways she never imagined possible. She and Rosa lived in a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment with a real dining room and 2 bathrooms. Rosa had her own desk by the window where she studied every evening. The refrigerator was always full of food. Esperanza had new clothes for work, professional dresses, blazers, and comfortable shoes that didn't hurt her feet. She carried a leather briefcase and had her own parking space at the office. But the biggest change was how she felt about herself. Every morning, she woke up excited to go to work. Her projects at Jordan Brand had been huge successes. The Asian marketing campaign she had helped create increased sales by 30%. The European expansion she had guided was ahead of schedule. She had hired 3 new employees to help with translation work. Michael often told people that hiring Esperanza was the best business decision he had ever made. On this particular Tuesday morning, Michael called Esperanza into his office for an important meeting. "I have a big project for you," he said, looking serious. "But it's going to be challenging. Maybe the most challenging thing you've done since you started here." Esperanza sat up straighter. "I'm ready. What is it?" "We want to expand into Central America, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador." Esperanza's heart stopped. El Salvador, her home country, the place she had fled 8 years ago. "I know this is personal for you," Michael continued. "El Salvador is where you're from. But that's exactly why we need you to lead this project." "What would I have to do?" "Travel there, meet with government officials and business leaders, set up manufacturing partnerships, create jobs for local people." Esperanza's hands started shaking. "Go back to El Salvador?" "Only if you want to. I won't force you." "But Esperanza, you're the only person who can do this, right? You understand the culture, the language, the politics. You know what these countries need." Esperanza stared out Michael's window at Lake Michigan. She tried to imagine getting on a plane to El Salvador, walking through streets she used to know, seeing places where terrible things had happened. "I don't know if I can," she whispered. "What scares you about it?" "Everything. What if the violence is still there? What if people remember my husband's death? What if nothing has changed?" Michael leaned forward. "What if everything has changed? What if you can help make things better? I'm not the same person who left 8 years ago. I'm not brave anymore." "Esperanza, you're one of the bravest people I know. You left everything behind to keep Rosa safe. You worked 3 jobs to survive. You started over in a new country. That's not brave. That was survival. This would be choosing to go back to a place that hurt me. It would also be choosing to help people who are still there, people who need good jobs and hope for the future." That afternoon, Esperanza went home early. She needed to think. She needed to talk to Rosa. Rosa was in her room doing homework when Esperanza got home. The room was bright and cheerful, with a bookshelf full of science textbooks and college brochures. "Mommy, you're home early. Is everything okay?" "I need to talk to you about something important." They sat on Rosa's bed like they used to do in their old, tiny apartment when they needed to have serious conversations. Mr. Jordan wants me to go to El Salvador for work, to help the company start doing business? There. Rosa's eyes got wide. Go back home? To where Papa died? Yes. Are you going to do it? I don't know. I'm scared. Rosa was quiet for a long time, thinking. She was 16 now, and getting ready to graduate from high school a year early. Harvard had already accepted her for early admission. Mommy, can I tell you what I think? Of course. I think Papa would want you to go. Esperanza felt tears starting. Why do you say that? Because Papa died fighting for poor people to have better lives. If you go to El Salvador and help create jobs, you're continuing his work. But what about you? What if something happens to me? Rosa took her mother's hands. Nothing will happen to you. You're not the scared woman who ran away 8 years ago. You're Director Esperanza Morales now. You're strong and smart and successful. I'm still the same person inside. Yes, but now you have power to help people. When we left El Salvador, you couldn't help anyone. Now you can. That evening, Esperanza called Dr. Santos for advice. Esperanza, my dear, what a difficult decision, Dr. Santos said over video chat. But think about this. You have skills and connections now that could really help your home country. What if it's too painful? What if I can't handle being there? Then you'll come home. But what if you can handle it? What if going back helps you heal? I don't know if I'm ready. No one is ever ready for the hardest things in life. But you've already done hard things. You've already survived the worst. The next morning, Esperanza walked into Michael's office with her decision. I'll do it, she said. I'll go to El Salvador. Michael smiled. Are you sure? No, but I'm going to do it anyway. What changed your mind? Rosa reminded me why her father died. He died fighting for poor people to have better opportunities. If I can help create good jobs in El Salvador, maybe his death will mean something. When do you want to leave? Next month. That gives me time to prepare and research. But Michael, I want to make sure we do this right. I don't want to just make money there. I want to help people. That's exactly why you're the right person for this job. Over the next few weeks, Esperanza threw herself into planning. She researched the current political situation in El Salvador. She studied economic reports. She contacted old friends who still lived there. What she learned surprised her. The war was over. The country was rebuilding. There were still problems, but also new hope. Most importantly, she learned that her husband's death had not been forgotten. Carlos Morales was remembered as a hero who died fighting for education and justice. Schools had been named after him. Scholarships were given in his memory. Rosa, she said one evening, your father is famous in El Salvador. People still talk about his work. Rosa looked up from her college textbooks. Really? Really? There's a school named after him in San Salvador. The Carlos Morales Elementary School. Rosa's eyes filled with tears. I wish I could remember him better. When I go to El Salvador, I'll take pictures of the school. I'll meet people who knew him. I'll bring his story back to you. 2 weeks before her trip, Esperanza had dinner with Michael to discuss final plans. Are you nervous? He asked. Terrified. but also excited. I keep thinking about all the people who could benefit from good jobs, all the families who could have better lives. You know what I think? What? I think you're about to do the most important work of your life. More important than raising Rosa? Different kind of important. Rosa is your gift to the world. This project is your gift to your homeland. That night, Esperanza packed her suitcase, professional clothes for meetings, a camera to take pictures for Rosa, and a small photo of Carlos that she had carried with her for 8 years. At the bottom of the suitcase, she packed the business cards that still amazed her. Esperanza Morales, Director of International Relations. 8 years ago, she had left El Salvador as a frightened refugee with nothing but her daughter and her memories. Now she was going back as a successful businesswoman with the power to change lives. The scared part of her was still there, but the brave part was stronger. The plane touched down at San Salvador Airport on a bright Tuesday morning. Esperanza gripped the armrests of her seat as the wheels hit the runway. After 8 years, she was home. But was it still home? Through the small airplane window, she could see mountains in the distance that looked familiar. The same blue sky she remembered from her childhood. The same bright sun that had shone on her wedding day. On Rosa's first steps. On the terrible day when Carlos died. "Welcome to El Salvador," the flight attendant announced in Spanish. Esperanza closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She was no longer the frightened woman who had fled this country with a 6-year-old child and nothing else. She was Director Esperanza Morales, here on important business. But her hands were still shaking. Walking through the airport, she noticed how much had changed. New shops, new restaurants, new signs everywhere. The building was modern and clean. Armed soldiers still stood at checkpoints, but they looked relaxed, not scared like they used to. Outside the airport, a driver waited with a sign that said, "Jordan Brand, Esperanza Morales." She had never seen her name on a sign like that before. "Buenos dias, Señora Morales," the driver said with a big smile. "Welcome back to El Salvador." "Thank you. It's good to be back," she said, though she wasn't sure if that was true yet. The drive through San Salvador shocked her. Yes, there were still poor neighborhoods with small houses and unpaved streets. But there were also new buildings, new roads, new businesses. Children walked to school carrying backpacks instead of running from danger. People sat in outdoor cafes drinking coffee and laughing. The war was really over. Her hotel was in the business district, near government offices and international companies. It was nicer than any place she had ever stayed. Her room had a view of the mountains and a bathroom bigger than her old kitchen in Chicago. That afternoon, she had her first meeting with government officials. She put on her best business suit and carried her leather briefcase. Looking in the hotel mirror, she saw a professional woman ready to discuss serious business. The meeting was at the Ministry of Economic Development. The building was new and impressive, with marble floors and modern offices. Nothing like the old government buildings she remembered from before the war. "Señora Morales," said the minister, a woman about Esperanza's age, "we are so honored to have you here. We know Jordan Brand is a very important company." "Thank you, Minister Rodriguez. I'm excited to discuss how we can work together." For 2 hours, they talked about jobs, factories, and economic opportunities. Esperanza explained Jordan Brand's plans to manufacture shoes and clothing in El Salvador. The government officials were enthusiastic. This could create 5,000 jobs, Minister Rodriguez said. Good jobs with fair wages and safe working conditions. That's exactly what we want, Esperanza replied. But we need to make sure the workers are treated well. We need to make sure the factories are safe and clean. Of course, we want partnerships that help our people, not exploit them. After the meeting, Esperanza walked through downtown San Salvador. She recognized some streets, but many looked completely different. New shops sold cell phones and computers. Young people walked around in modern clothes, talking and laughing. But she also saw familiar things. Street vendors selling pupusas and fresh fruit. Old churches with beautiful architecture. The mountains surrounding the city like protective arms. On Wednesday, she visited the proposed factory sites. They were in areas that had been war zones 8 years ago. Now they were being rebuilt as industrial parks, with good roads, electricity, and water systems. Many of the workers would be women, explained the local manager. Single mothers who need steady work to support their families. Esperanza thought about herself 8 years ago. A single mother desperate for any work to survive. What kind of training would they receive? She asked. We would teach them to operate the machines, to check quality, to work safely. Many have never had factory jobs before. I want to meet some of them. I want to talk to the women who would be working here. The next day, they arranged meetings with potential workers. 20 women came to a community center in one of San Salvador's poorest neighborhoods. They ranged in age from 18 to 50. Most had children. All needed work. Esperanza sat with them in a circle, like a support group. She didn't sit behind a desk, like a boss. She sat with them like a friend. Tell me about your lives, she said. What kind of work do you do now? The stories were heartbreakingly familiar. Cleaning houses for very little money, selling food on street corners, doing laundry for neighbors, working long hours for wages that barely paid for food and rent. I have 3 children, said a young woman named Patricia. I work 14 hours a day, and I still can't afford to send them to good schools. I clean offices at night, said another woman named Carmen. My baby stays with my mother. I see him for 2 hours in the morning before I sleep. Esperanza felt like she was looking at herself 8 years ago. These women were smart and hard-working, but trapped by lack of opportunities. If we build this factory, Esperanza said, you would work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You would have health insurance for you and your children. You would earn enough money to live with dignity. The women's eyes lit up with hope. The same hope Esperanza had felt when Michael offered her a real job. Would you really hire us? Patricia asked. Even though we don't have experience with machines, we would train you. We would teach you everything you need to know. The only requirement is that you want to work hard and learn. After the meeting, Esperanza walked through the neighborhood. Small houses crowded together on narrow streets. Children played soccer with a ball made of rags. But she also saw something important: hope. These people weren't just surviving anymore. They were planning for the future. On Thursday, she did something she had been avoiding. She went to visit Carlos's grave. The cemetery was on a hill outside the city. She took a taxi there, carrying flowers she had bought from a street vendor. White roses, Carlos's favorite. His grave was simple, but well-maintained. Someone had been taking care of it. The headstone read, Carlos Morales, 1965-2017. Teacher, father, hero. Esperanza sat on the ground next to the grave and talked to her husband for the first time in 8 years. "I'm back, Carlos. I brought our daughter to safety, like you wanted. She's going to be a doctor. She's brilliant and kind, just like you." She told him about her job, about Michael, about the opportunities she was creating for other families. "I'm going to help build jobs here, Carlos. Good jobs for women like me. Women who need a chance to support their families with dignity." Dirty wind blew through the trees, and for a moment, Esperanza could almost hear Carlos's voice telling her he was proud. On Friday, her last day, she visited the Carlos Morales Elementary School. It was in a poor neighborhood, but the building was bright and clean. Children's artwork covered the walls. The playground had new swings and slides. The principal, a young man named Roberto, showed her around. "Your husband is a hero here," he said. "We tell the children about him, about how he believed education could change their lives." In one classroom, Esperanza met the teacher, an elderly woman named Elena. "I knew Carlos," Elena said quietly. "He trained me to teach reading. He said, 'Every child deserves to learn, no matter how poor their family is.'" "He believed that," Esperanza said, wiping away tears. "You look like him," Elena said. "You have his kind eyes. Are you carrying on his work?" Esperanza thought about the factory, about the jobs, about the women who would finally have steady work. "I'm trying to," she said. That evening, Esperanza sat in her hotel room and called Rosa. "Mommy, how is it? Are you okay?" "I'm more than okay, mija. I'm proud. Proud of where I came from. Proud of your father. Proud of what we survived." "What's the best part?" "The people. They're not victims anymore. They're builders. They're creating a new country, a better country." "And the factory? We're going to build it. We're going to create 5,000 jobs. Good jobs that will help families live with dignity. Papa would be so proud of you." "I think he would be proud of both of us." On Saturday morning, Esperanza boarded the plane back to Chicago. As El Salvador grew smaller beneath the airplane, she felt something she hadn't expected. She felt complete. She had faced her past and found strength. She had honored her husband's memory by helping others. She had turned her pain into purpose. The scared woman who fled El Salvador 8 years ago was gone forever. In her place was a confident leader who could build bridges between countries and create opportunities for people who needed them most. Rosa was waiting at the Chicago airport with a big sign that said, "Welcome home, Mommy." "How do you feel?" Rosa asked as they hugged. "Like I finally know who I'm supposed to be," Esperanza said. And for the first time in 8 years, that was completely true. And that's how one moment of really listening changed 2 lives forever. Sometimes, the most extraordinary people are right in front of us, just waiting for someone to see their true worth. We'd love to know, where are you listening from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that everyone deserves a chance to shine, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you're helping us spread more stories of kindness and hope to people all around the world. And speaking of incredible true stories that will inspire you, check out the video appearing on your screen right now. It's another amazing tale of how one small act of kindness created a ripple effect that changed everything. Remember, you never know when you might be the Michael Jordan in someone else's story. Keep your ears open, keep your heart open, and never stop believing in the power of giving people a chance. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next story.